This show is clean.
I'm a podcaster.
Pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 728. Hello, it's Mike Matthews, broadcasting from the last place on earth, located somewhere in Podcaster Valley, California. Today, Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere the Engineer, plus it's the return of the much-loved feature WOW SCHATZ WOW, where we look at the world of travel. And what is this I see about Tyson Foods?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I don't think I ever eat any of their foods because they're never, ever very good.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And you should stay away from processed food if you want to stay healthy. And you should buy some fruit and you'll be wealthy with your health, with your body rocking it. And this is Mike Matthews, and I'm talking it big time, yo, on my podcast, yo. That's how we do it, yo.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Travel around the world, yo. Gonna stop saying yo. And anyway,
Mike's
last show,
Daily
Valentino and Bison Bentley
Podcast
said that
yeah,
they don't use cell phone carriers. A big applause for that, yeah. Because cell phone carriers suck! Especially you, Sprint. Frick you. And they said instead they use pigeon carriers, or carrier pigeons. I am so pro that. And speaking of pro, look who just walked in. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, the gift shop supervisor. And yeah, I'm like such a pro because I run my gift shop and I make a lot of money. That's great. You are just so ahead of the curb. You really inspire me. You inspire all young entrepreneurs across the globe. Yeah, Mike Matthews, do you want to buy a GoPro? No, I don't. Thank you. Oh, you know what? You should say hi to my friend. Look who just walked in, my friend. His name is GoPro Joe, the bicycle schmo. Oh, hi GoPro Joe, the bicycle schmo.
Hey, dude, you know what? I bicycle around, I wear a GoPro on top of my helmet so I can see wherever I go, and then I upload it, and then people that never leave their houses, they take the bicycle trip that I just went on. It's so cool.
Wow, interesting. I like GoPro Joe, the bicycle schmo. Yeah, Mike Matthews, his name is a poem. So beautiful. Look who else just walked in. Hello, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman! And this is John Deere the Engineer. Hello, GoPro Joe, the bicycle schmo.
Hey, how's it going, little dude? John Deere the Engineer. Okay, I'm not a turtle from Finding Nemo. That was so cool.
Wow, so you guys know each other? Yes, I often ride my bike around the Bay Area, and I have run into GoPro Joe, the bicycle schmo, who wears his spandex shorts way too tight.
Hey, man, I'm proud of what God gave me. Oh, my God.
Okay. You know, interestingly enough, today when I was walking Basil the Boxer, I almost got ran over by a bicyclist who was wearing a GoPro thing on his helmet. And I thought to myself, wow. So when he hits somebody and he's wearing his GoPro, can I use the evidence that he's recorded to show that he's an idiot?
Man, I never run into anybody. I'm GoPro Joe, the bicycle schmo.
Oh, man. He just blew up. Exploded and combusted from his own idiocracy. That's so weird, John Deere the Engineer. Yes, it is. But also very fortunate. Hey, so this is fascinating. Today I discovered here that Tyson Foods, who does not make the healthiest food in the world, is discontinuing operations at 3 of its factories, which make processed meat products such as sausages and hot dogs. And by closing those factories, it's going to affect about 950 people, according to Reuters. The largest U.S. meat processor, which won the bidding war for Hillshire Brands Company in June, said the closures were not related to the acquisition. The closures were due to changing product needs, an aging Cherokee, Iowa factory, and the distance of the Buffalo, New York, and Santa Teresa, New Mexico plants from their raw material supply base, the company said yesterday. And the number of beef cattle in the United States is at its lowest level in 63 years due to severe droughts, reducing the amount of meat available to process. Wow. The U.S. Department of Labor's Occupation Safety and Health Administration had cited their Buffalo factory for workplace safety hazards. This was last November. And they proposed fines of about $122,000. That's it? Huh. Tyson contested the citations, because that's so much money, and they agreed to pay the they paid $105,000 in fines. Shares in the company, which will report quarterly results on Monday, were little changed yesterday during trading. What do you think about Tyson Foods? Do you love their food so much? Do you love it? Email me, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. We read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you'd like to sponsor the show, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. Check out the website too, MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. It's got links to where to find us on iTunes. Subscribe to the show in iTunes, and you can rate and comment on the show there. And if you do that, more people find out about us because it improves our ranking. Also, there is a link to where to find us on Facebook. Like the Facebook page, and when I post a new show, share it with your friends. More people find out about us that way if you do that. And another great way to support the show is through the Amazon deal of the day. Click on that and buy something at a tremendous discount, and that helps me out too, supposedly. Also, there are links to where to find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Mixcloud, Yelp, Tumblr, Twitter, Stitcher. There's the blog, the Daily Podcast picture, and all the past interviews I've done right there at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com.
Wow, Schatz, wow.
So as someone that enjoys listening to Mike's Daily Podcast, you probably know that my mom, when I tell her something that surprises her, she goes, "Wow, Schatz, wow." Because she's German, she calls me Schatz. It's cute. Now, I will always have this feature because these are things, now I say wow, Schatz, wow, when I see things that surprise me. In these stories here, we shall look at some things that shall surprise you that have to do with the topic of travel.
Things that make you go,
There are some things here that will make you go, that have to do with beer. This, according to Celebrator Beer News, in Nebraska, a bar cannot sell beer unless a kettle of soup is brewing at the time. That must be a leftover from the Depression. In Missouri, the Show Me State, or Missouri, because Missouri is something that you feel when you're sick. Wait, is that the expression? Somebody from Missouri told me the old saying that they have there. If you know what it is, email me, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. But in Missouri, the Show Me State, if an underage kid takes out trash and it has even one single empty alcoholic beverage container, that kid can be charged with possession. And I'm not talking of the devil. Good luck with your recycling program there, Missouri. And in Iowa, it's illegal for the refined gentlemen of Ames, Iowa, to have 3 sips of beer while they are in bed with their wives. Things that make you go, That is the song that was number 1 in 1962. The instrumental Stranger on the Shore by Acker Bilk. What else happened in 1962? Well, luckily the Beatles were starting to come along because they auditioned for Decca Records then. Wilt Chamberlain, whom my mom once met, she was at a YMCA and he passed by. And she said he was tall. He scored 100 points in 1962 in a single NBA game, and legend Marilyn Monroe died that year from an overdose of narcotics. It was also of the Cuban Missile Crisis between, of course, the Soviet Union and Cuba on one side and the United States on the other. The situation resulted in resentment against Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev and Cuban leader Fidel Castro. Well, public acrimony inspired a Paso Robles woman named Barbara Lance to write the Castro Valley Chamber of Commerce. That is, of course, where the show hails from. It's Castro Valley, or Podcastro Valley. And she wrote them and suggested that Castro Valley change their name in order to disassociate from the name Castro. Lance reckoned that Castro Valley was certainly a lovely town, but suggested a moniker alteration and changing it to former chamber manager Winston King. The November article that was sent to the Castro Valley Forum from November 2nd, 1962, mentioned that the chamber officials, upon hearing this, were left in a tizzy. Castro Valley got its name from enigmatic Spanish Don Guillermo Castro, who owned about 28,000 acres of land by 1838, including Hayward, San Lorenzo, Castro Valley, as well as Cull, Crow, and Palomares canyons. His sprawling area encompassed about 41 square miles. Over the next 26 years, Castro lost much of his holdings and wealth. This would be the Don Guillermo Castro. He lost much of his holdings and wealth through lost bets and gambling debts. The downward slide culminated in an 1864 sheriff's sale that cost him his prized Adobe Rancho. Well, the Cuban Missile Crisis has long since ended, thankfully, and Castro Valley has long since kept its name. Except I call it Podcastro Valley. By the way, who the hell is Barbara Lance? Living in Paso Robles, telling us, 4 hours away, to change the name of our town. Who the hell did she think she was in 1962? I don't know what happened to Barbara Lance, but whenever somebody does something really stupid, like what I do for most of this show, I'm going to call that from now on a Barbara Lance.
I'm gonna live where the green grass grows, watch my corn pop up in rows, every night be tucked in close to you. Raise our kids
where the green grass grows. Actually, there's not much green grass anymore here in Podcastro Valley, speaking of Podcastro Valley, because of the drought. But there is a great way to get rid of the weeds in the high grass, at any rate. Steve and Jan Fong hired a company that brought in a herd of goats. In a few days of munching, the 4-foot high grass was trimmed down to the ground, and they love ivy too. They do all the cleanup work, the goats do. And when they're through eating, you don't have all that stuff to haul away. The Fong said that a crew of workers would cost them twice as much. The tall grass has to be trimmed because it can become a fire hazard in the summer, so they hired a company in San Francisco called City Grazing, which delivers the goats and leaves them in the yard for 10 days. This according to the Castro Valley Forum. The goats are agile on the steep hillsides too. They eat grass, weeds, thistles, and even poison oak. Plus, as the company that owns the goats points out, they fertilize the soil as they go. But the Fongs did say that after all the grass had been eaten, they were definitely eyeing the neighbor's grass. So yes, the grass is greener on the other side. Thank you, Rush. Speaking of dogs, and if you're traveling with your dogs to the fine state of California, on May 8th, the California State Assembly passed a bill that would legalize the presence of dogs at outdoor dining spots. Yes, a large number of Bay Area eating establishments have already granted this privilege, but without the blessing of the California Retail Food Code. The new law would not require restaurant owners to welcome dogs, but it would eliminate the possibility of fines or citations for those who did bring in dogs. The law would set regulations to govern the practice, including require dogs to enter through a separate patio entrance, not the front door. Dogs would need to be on leash or in carriers, and restaurants would be required to follow strict sanitation practices. The bill, called AB 1965, was sponsored by Assemblywoman Mariko Yamada, who says she wants to remove the risk of penalties for willing restaurant owners and wants public health officials to be freed up to work on more pressing issues. The bill was passed by 71-1 vote in the assembly. However, local lawmakers in places that choose to banish dogs from dining are permitted to override the state law. And as someone who was penalized by ridiculous dog laws and had to spend $286 here in the Bay Area, I welcome such changes.
Seems to me, while it's true that every dog will have its day, when all the bones are buried, there's barely time to come outside and play.
As we go outside of the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The picture is of the lovely San Mateo Bridge, which costs like $5 to cross, which, if you're going one direction towards the peninsula, leaving the East Bay. And you can see a picture of that there. There's a nice little, I think this is about a year ago I took this picture, but it could have been taken today because it's going to be hot today, hot and sunny here in the Bay Area. And there you go. This picture was taken from the Hayward Hills, looking out kind of over past Cal State East Bay, and then off towards San Mateo Bridge and San Mateo, Foster City, all that across the bay. I love this area. It's awesome, and I'm just a fan. So I just wanted to show that picture to you there. It's at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Mike Matthews? Yes, Chely Shoehart. Why would anyone want to look at that picture? Because it's nice. I don't know. It's kind of, if you're into travel and maybe you don't live in this area and you want to see like California and the East Bay and that what we got here in the Bay Area, it's a good picture. Okay, like, and why did you make my friend GoPro Joe the bicycle schmo blow up? He blew up from his own idiocracy. Why don't you blow up from your own idiocracy? That would never happen. I blew up, but I got better. The next show, we're going to hear the amazing local band out of Benicia. It's not beneath us. No, Benicia. Benita. It's a funky name. Makes you want to scat and jazz, and that's why a great group came out of Benicia called Dead Cat Hat. Yes, we're going to be playing some music from them and talking to them. Dead Cat Hat plays original music featuring accordion, trombone, bass, drums, vocals. Very interesting and original and unique. You'll hear that next show. Plus, we'll hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!
Mike, you gave me no lines at all this show, and I'm Floyd the Floorman. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I blowed up.